right, here we go. Welcome to Living Low Sodium with Mary Schepp. Join Mary as she tickles your taste buds with her salty wit and her exceptional palate, all whilst guiding us through the land of low sodium living. Of course, brought to you in part by the support of our good friends at Reeses Barkery Pawtique. Check them out at reesesbarkery.com. Give them a call at 815-363-7297. Today, part 4 of How Has Food Impacted You with our good friend Dawn Riess. Am I saying that right?
Reese.
Awesome. Welcome.
Like Reeses Barkery. Yeah.
There we go.
And Reeses Barkery.
Yeah.
Reeses Barkery Pawtique.
I just spell it different.
Yeah, last week was fun because Stephanie, who I love her to death, and she helped me because Kent wasn't in the studio for our
Pinch hit,
section.
yeah.
She was pinch hitting, and it was comical because she did really good doing the read-in, and then realized that her microphone. She did good making sure all of our microphones were on, but her microphone was off. So I love that she did it because I'm very bad at multitasking. So to have to produce my show and do my show, I can't walk, talk, and chew gum. I'm lucky I can finish most sentences at any given time. So, the how food has impacted you. We had Marty on last week with, what's your bacon, which I love because in the low sodium world, bacon is coveted. And I got a bunch of messages going,
Oh, yeah.
you're doing a show about bacon. I said, no, I'm doing a show about what's your bacon, which is what gets you up in the morning, what gets you going, what pushes you, what drives you. So he's master happiness is what he does. So
Yeah,
not
cool.
master of happiness, the master happiness.
Yeah, he's cool.
So it's no secret that food has impacted my life significantly. That's the whole purpose of my show, is to show people that there's other ways. And living with cirrhosis and transverse myelitis, and the fact that the majority of people who have advanced liver disease are not working and they're on multiple medications. And my doctors were shocked at the fact that I was even able to get off most, let alone all of my medications. So it's not complicated. The short answer is that I eat real food. Right. So when people are like, "Oh, what's your diet? What's your this? What's your that?" and that's it. That's the short and simple of it, is I eat real food. When you dig really deep into it, it's extremely complicated. It's a very balanced system of proteins and micronutrients and potassium and magnesium and sodium and carbs and fats and good fats and all of these different things that make up what we need to intake nutritionally. So there was more to it than that, but at the simplest level, for people to understand, it is simply eating real food. That's it. That's how it is. So over the course of my journey, I've encountered so many people that are on this same path. And that's where I did the series, this one now, on how food has impacted you, because there's the people that I run into that are new on their journey. So of course they think that they're alone, that nobody's gone through it, or nobody understands what they're going through. And everything is relative. So your journey with liver disease might be different than mine, or your journey with whatever diagnosis that you may have might be different than others. No different than someone having a baby. Like, two pregnancies aren't the same.
Right.
The having a baby is the same, but the pregnancy and the experience itself is completely different. So encountering those people and showing them that they're not alone, and everybody picks their nose. Maybe not, but
Everybody does. Everybody
right,
does.
right. You know what I mean? So, but it's that same theory. It's you think that you're alone in your journey, and 90% of the time, with most of the things that you do throughout your life, you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Dawn,
emotions you experience and the things that you go through, there's somebody out there that can relate to you, and you don't have to go through that alone. So that's how I ended up sharing my experience. So to make it easier for me, I now rope people into sharing their experiences, so I don't have to be so you guys don't have to hear me talk about my liver disease for the rest of eternity. So today I have Dawn with Epimony.
Like Spumoni. Epimony.
Yeah, right. Epimony. And so you do holistic health.
Yes.
And I am a huge fan of holistic health. I have had Dr. Ron on our show, Dr. Ron Moskow. He's my acupuncturist. And it doesn't mean that I am opposed to pharmaceutical health. And I met someone recently that is also a chiropractor, and we were discussing things. And I think that, in life with so many things, everybody makes it black or white. You are pro-life, you're pro-choice. You are pharmaceutical against pharmaceutical. You're, Democrat, Republican. You're black, you're white. Everything is always this polarized, defined side. And it's not like that. And unfortunately, medications should be emergency response.
Right. Absolutely.
You're bleeding out on a battlefield. Your heart is stopping. You're having an anaphylactic shock syndrome reaction to a bee sting. These aren't necessarily meant to be lifelong treatments, because unfortunately the way that we use medicine in our society now is that crutch. I don't want to take the time or the money or the effort to figure out what your underlying root cause is, what you're missing or what you need to add. So I'm going to put you on pills to fix that solution. And unfortunately, there's people like me who are the poster child for side effects. So one of the side effects that I had, they put me on water pills, which is very common for people with liver disease, kidney disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. It's a very, very common drug. And they're usually hormone-based. So I had gynecomastia. Well, yeah, right? I need a third camera on Kent's face for his reaction. So when my doctor had told me what he thought I had, and he was confused, and he's like, so this is normally what I see in men. Women we are genetically, our code is written to ride a hormonal roller coaster. Mm-hmm. Every day, every month, every week, through our life, through our cycle, from babies to not babies to everything, and that is our life 24/7, every day. And that's why men normally get gynecomastia, because they are hormonally more balanced throughout their life. So when you put them on a hormone-based pill, like a water pill, they get gynecomastia because it throws their hormones for a loop, so they get swollen breasts, they get all of these symptoms that are horribly uncomfortable. So he was just like, you literally are the poster child. Like when you read the 17-page thing of side effects,
yeah,
it's got this, I got this, and I even get the one that the dudes get. Like,
that's hilarious.
So that's when I was like, I need to get off my medication. And he laughed, and then he apologized. Was like, you have to understand, you have 3 to 5% of a functioning liver. This is your life. We will find a balance of pills that work for you, and this is your life. And I said, I respectfully disagree. But okay. So we went down that path, and sure enough, 6 months later, I was off all of my medications. And he went, I don't understand you. I don't. But I also did what I was supposed to do. I quit drinking, I quit smoking, and I changed my lifestyle. And here I am. That was 2015. And it doesn't mean that I've had a perfect, healthy life, because obviously I have an underlying cause that they haven't diagnosed. So my long story short, before we get into Dawn's, is I've had issues all of my life. I've been in and out of the hospital all in my life. And I've always been told, eat better, exercise more, and I'm sorry you have gut issues. Right. That was my story. So fast forward, now I have liver disease. And if I had known at a younger age to protect my gut biome and my biology, maybe I wouldn't have liver disease. Maybe I would have known that I shouldn't have ever drank in my life. Not an alcoholic issue. Even my doctor was like, you probably drank more than you should because you don't have kids, but not enough to have alcohol, induced cirrhosis under the age of 40. Right. And then the same with transverse myelitis. My immune system decided to eat a hole in my spine. There's nothing, and this is after I was already healthy. So there's obviously an underlying autoimmune issue that I have. And on top of that, that hole could have been there for decades. Yeah. And something that I had had happen, and that's where the vaccine argument comes up, because a lot of people who get transverse myelitis, it's directly after a vaccination. And automatically the theory is that because of vaccinations, you get transverse myelitis. And what the common medical thought is, you had an underlying condition, and you normally, you get these pinholes in your gut, you get a hole in your spine, you get lesions, you get cancers, you get illnesses. Your body fixes them before you even know you have them, if you have a strong enough immune system. So that's where that theory is that gap in the myelin in my spine was there. And then on top of it, I had some kind of infection, some kind of inflammatory response. I could have walked through someone's yard that just sprayed pesticides. And that cellular inflammatory response could have been what pushed on my spine to cause the damage that it did. So there's a million different reasons for these. But if you're going to give yourself the best chance at a best life, eating McDonald's and Doritos and the stupid pink, and don't get me wrong, I love Starbucks because I like a good latte, but coffee's actually really good for you.
Right.
A pink drink loaded with colors and sugars is just horrible. So those are the kinds of things where if I would have known those when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't be in the shoes that I'm in now. But nobody looks at that and says, I'm recognizing your fatigue or your emotions or your whatever. They say, you're just a teenage kid, and we're going to deal with it. You just, sorry, your gut sucks. Yeah. Well, now I've learned better, and I've learned how to fix it. So it doesn't always have to be that pharmaceutical path. Right. And that's kind of why by sharing other people's stories, it helps show people that I'm not a one-off.
Right.
I'm not the only person out there in the world that has these ailments, or just my ailment, that managed to fix things with food. So I have liver disease, and it took all my life. I didn't get diagnosed till 2015. And I've had issues, and my husband used to visit me in the hospital when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. Gut issues. They almost took my appendix out once because they thought that's what it was. And then they did a scan, and that wasn't it. So how did you start on this path with your health?
Okay, so my personal health wasn't what got me on this path. It was actually my mom.
Okay.
I think I told you my mom's breast cancer diagnosis. And so when she got diagnosed in 2019, I made it my life's mission, because I've always been into holistic health and more natural ways to do things. So I remembered over the years reading these amazing miracle stories of people beating cancer naturally. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be a way. So I started doing all this research and finding strong correlations between diet and chronic diseases, including cancers and breast cancer, which my mom had not the genetic one. She has the triple negative, which is the worst, the most aggressive. So I stumbled across holistic nutrition certification courses, and so that's what put me on that path. But coincidentally, I was diagnosed back in 2015 with fibromyalgia. I don't know if anybody
I do.
has it.
I know a decent amount of people.
Okay, it's a horrible diagnosis. And it's a chronic one. So meaning you are going to suffer with this for the rest of your life, and it's pain in your joints and your muscles, fatigue, unrefreshing sleep, which is the worst part. Either you wake up a million times throughout the night, or you sleep through the whole night, but you wake up and you feel like you never even closed your eyes because you never hit that deep sleep, right? So you don't get the rest that your body needs, right? And then you live in this brain fog, and I would get out of bed in the morning, and I couldn't just sit up. I would have to kind of roll myself out, get my legs on the floor, and it would take me forever. I would get up and I would be shuffling to the bathroom.
Yeah, Ted says he's got fibromyalgia.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible, right? So weirdly, so I started this journey, becoming a holistic nutritionist. And, immediately when I started learning all the things that I was learning, I changed my diet completely. And I cut out all animal products, all meat, dairy, eggs, started eating more fruits and vegetables, grains, whole grains, not just white pasta, white rice, because, that's what we always...
The Wonder Bread?
Right, the Wonder Bread.
Don't get me wrong, I still like a Wonder Bread tomato sandwich, but...
Right.
But it's almost like ice cream. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect.
No,
I have my guilty pleasures. But so yeah, I changed my diet completely, and I was eating more whole foods, plant-based, and I started feeling great. Okay, and it didn't even click in my head that, wait a minute, I don't even have any of these fibro symptoms anymore. I can hop out of bed in the morning and I can jog myself down the hallway and hop down the stairs, and I'm like, this is amazing. And there were so many other things that I had too. I had this issue with chronic dry eye. The eye doctor was like, oh, you can't really do contacts because you have chronic dry eye, and it's really good. And I knew that because when I did wear contacts before, it was awful. And so I'm like, I don't even have chronic dry eye anymore.
Right.
And then I had tinnitus, where that ringing in your ear all the time, and it was so annoying. But it's I don't get that anymore either. So I'm like, this is amazing.
It is, and it's funny because talking to doctors and the foods that they automatically, because of my cirrhosis, because it was the one-page document that said this is how much salt's in a teaspoon, and the other side was a chicken recipe, which really was just grilled chicken with Mrs. Dash, which is not a recipe. It's how to grill a piece of chicken with Mrs. Dash seasoning. And that was it. And then it was, you can't have no bacon, no lunch meat, no this, no that, no the other, no whatever, no blah, blah, blah. And you can't have grapefruit because of your medications. It was all this list of things I can't have. And through my journey, I found out it was more about the things that I needed than the things that I can't have.
Right.
So as I started adding, and it's not, I am and will forever be a meat eater, but I've never had an issue or felt bad with meat. And I always say, you don't know how bad you feel until you feel better. And not everybody is cut out to digest animal products. I have a friend of mine, I have a lot of vegan and vegetarian friends, and I have one friend who, she's vegetarian because she won't eat anything with a face. And I have another friend who's vegetarian because since they were little, every time someone put any kind of animal product on the plate, he got sick. So as he grew up and people stopped the whole, you have to finish what's on your plate, and he was able to choose for himself, he just stopped. And the next thing you know, he wasn't eating meat because his body is just not made to process animal products. And it's funny because there's so many things every time I see commercials for, skin disorders and all, not that, certain things are genetic. Certain people are just genetically predispositioned. You're gonna lose your hair. You're gonna be bald. You're gonna have a big old bald dome. It is what it is. Rock it, don't rock it, whatever you want to do. But especially with women, a lot of hair loss is 100% hormonal.
Oh yeah.
And the best way to fix your hormone issues is through diet.
Food, yep.
And they're still just learning all of this, so it's fascinating to me, but it's no surprise because I had the same thing that you did, where as I started
needlessly dying from heart disease. Because why? Why? Because the doctors, cardiologists aren't telling them, well, hey, guess what? If you kind of cut out the meat and dairy and eggs because they're all full of saturated fat, increase your whole plant foods and grains, your body will fix itself.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it's...
And it's sad because I hear people like our age, people I went to high school with, dying of heart attacks.
You know, it's funny, the argument that I always have, because I love eggs. I eat eggs. And I don't eat a whole lot of dairy. And because I have a farm group, and it's funny because the argument that so many people have with me about milk, and they are diehard. Milk is so good for you. Milk is so good for you. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. I mean, it's not heroin. But when you're living on this premise that it's really, really good for you, my argument is, okay, so if it's so good for you, why is it as heavily regulated as heroin? So if a farm wants to sell milk from their farm to you, they have so many it's literally a rule in my farm group that you're not allowed to talk about milk. You're not allowed to ask where it comes from. You're not allowed to ask for raw milk. You're not allowed to ask where you can buy it because of the amount of regulations. And I'm not saying that there aren't farms around here that can sell raw milk, and there are. And there's ones that have it right in their storefront, and they're allowed to, and they're under the regulations. But because of political lobbying years ago, when they created this food pyramid, and they have this dairy industry and these people with big money, it's the milk industry is very much like big oil. It is a huge part of big ag. Corn and milk and those things, that food pyramid that they built it's one of those situations where there's always two sides to every story. And what I always say is both sides are right and both sides are wrong. The concept behind the food pyramid, I am sure, had great doctors behind it and great intentions behind it. And it got skewed a little bit, and the weight of that food pyramid might have been shifted a little bit in the wrong categories. Doesn't mean that the thought behind it to promote healthy and promote better eating wasn't a good thing. It just maybe could have been a little bit better and not so heavily on milk and cheese.
Right.
Just saying.
Well, and it was all of animal agriculture. They play a huge role in the government.
They do.
And so
it's big money.
It is big money, right? It's huge money, which is why for so long, meat and dairy has been, I went back. This is 1992 food pyramid, and you've got, meat, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs, and nuts, and milk, yogurt, cheese group. And then we jump ahead to what? This was 2005. Still meat, beans, milk, right? And then finally, in 2011, this is that new MyPlate, protein. It just says protein. It doesn't say meat.
And I'm pretty
but
sure...
But dairy's still there.
I think that it's funny because that USDA MyPlate, I think, is heavily weighted from a research study done by Harvard EDU. So I talked about that quite often because it should. Are we still up? Okay, good.
Yeah, volume came back. I don't know what was happening. So.
See, Facebook's mad at me because I yelled at Facebook before the show.
That's right.
Oh, right.
Ted,
yes, we both were yelling at Facebook.
Ted just chimes in. He says, that's because these things can cause health issues, and health issues keep doctors in business.
Oh, my God. I love that you just said that because did I tell you last night? I don't remember who I told. But I was talking to somebody, and I said I was having a conversation at some, a networking event, right? And somebody's like, oh, well, you should, chat with this guy over here. He's a chiropractor. You guys could, partner up. You could help each other out, right? Because your diet can affect inflammation and things like that, right? And so, you know what he says? He says, I don't want them to get better.
Right.
But, yeah, job security, I guess, right?
And that it's on the flip side of that. So when my spinal injury happened, and I was in for my 1 year. I think it wasn't. Yeah, I think it was my 1 year. and I mentioned, and my doctor had a new nurse practitioner. And I had mentioned that, my neuropathy was getting really bad because the pain never goes away. I have nerve damage. It doesn't, the damage is done. And unfortunately, that's not something that diet's going to fix. However, diet helps me minimize my symptoms and manage it without medication. And on the flip side of that, I also see my acupuncturist and my chiropractor, same guy. So she says, well, we'll start you on gabapentin. And before she could say because the other one's a painkiller, I said, no, thank you. And she turns and she's, huh? And I just tried not to laugh in her face. And was like, no. She said, well, you were saying that your pain level and everything is getting worse. And I said, it is, but I'm in my early 40s and that's exactly what they are. They're responses to warn your brain of something going on. So if you stub your toe and your brain says that hurts, and you say, okay, I got to go continue working, you go about your day, you forget that you stubbed your toe, your toe stops hurting, and then if you stubbed it really, really badly, at the end of the day, when you lay down and the noise of the world stops, you feel your toe again. Because your brain has the ability to do that.
Right.
So if you can use other means to fix the stuff, and that's where it's funny because the amount of doctors that have laughed in my face when I say, I got my chiropractor, he takes care of me and he keeps me upright. And they're like, okay. Like my pseudo medicine. I'm like, well, whatever you want to say about my pseudo medicine, if you want to tell me it's in my head, he sticks me full of a bunch of needles and adjusts my spine, and I can breathe again, and I can walk again. Yeah. So if that is in my head, and it's just my brain convincing me that works. Yeah. What is wrong with that?
Exactly.
If that's literally a placebo effect, I mean, thousands of years of medicine say that it's not.
Right.
But,
yeah, exactly.
But I love that they discount it. But that always makes me laugh.
Because that's all they're taught, though. They're taught Western medicine is, and honestly, all Western medicine really is a lot of just throwing Band-Aids on things. Pill for this, a pill for that, a pill for that, and send you on your way. But like you had mentioned before, not getting to the root cause and what really is the problem.
I think that the thing that aggravates me the most is with the medical community and the science behind medicine. Fascinates me.
It's amazing. Yes.
I'm friends with someone who his son is the one who created the technology that uses a gel as a medium to introduce stem cells into your body. His son is literally the man who has invented the thing that could fix my spine. I will never see it in my lifetime. Unless somehow I miraculously become a bazillionaire and I can just pay to have these treatments done, I will never see that in my lifetime. But the fact that they absolutely fascinate me. But that being said, it doesn't mean that the medical world needs to throw it at everybody. And the thing that bothers me the most is it seems like no doctors are ever willing to just flat out be like, you know what, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think there's so much that they think they know. They think that, and that's why they throw medicine at it.
Well, and they treat the symptoms, right?
The textbook says you have this, so you have to take this pill, or because that's what studies have shown. Right. When all of a sudden, just like anything else, they learn they shouldn't put cocaine in soft drinks.
Yeah. Right.
Time passes and they go, well, maybe we were
not
wrong
a good
about
idea,
that.
Right?
And we discovered that people who have fibromyalgia, maybe they should eat more citrus. And we discovered this. And holy crap, that was the cure all along, is maybe people with that should have just eaten fruit.
Right.
Instead of a pill, because they discovered a pill makes things different.
Right.
Ted popped something up there. I don't know.
Yeah, he says it's a strange one for you, but I couldn't feel my feet due to the nerve damage from spina bifida. In my teen years, I burnt my ankles with hot water. Now I can feel my feet where I burned them.
Interesting.
That is actually part of how they discovered stem cell in the first place, and the regenerative power of the human body, along with other other animals and creatures and all of these things. Because of the burn in your body's response to send growth tissue to grow whatever tissue it can regrow, and to grow scar tissue to cover the tissue that it can't fix. It also subsequently repairs some of those nerves, which is why you can feel certain bits and not others. And sadly, I discover that myself, because as my nerves decide to fix what they can and not fix what they can't fix,
right?
From my boobs down, everything is just like it's a neurological rave. Apparently, Kent is getting really good at his sound
effects. That was awesome.
My God, I love it.
That was really good.
And I wish someday just for an experiment, I want to take somebody, and if K-tape wasn't so expensive, and I'm going to get my hands on some of it just to do this, because I want to take between something that's spiky, like Velcro, and K-tape that restricts, almost like an Indian burn. Because if you wrap it wrong or too tightly, much like an ace bandage, my entire midsection feels like that all the time. Like someone, like a giant is holding my belly and spinning me. They call it banding. But I want to wrap somebody in such a fashion so that for 10 minutes of their life, they can just feel what it is like to be me. And the most shocking thing is it feels like I'm walking around all day with a bowling ball between my legs. So, like, if you've ever done that game when you're a kid where you have to hold a balloon between your thighs and walk, that's what it feels like all the time. So I constantly feel like I have to walk differently because my legs aren't feeling the way I'm actually walking. So it's the weirdest thing to try and explain to somebody. But it's very much like someone like you with fibromyalgia, where people and doctors think you just want drugs.
Right. And that's all they can
because
do
you're
for
going,
you.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, this hurts.
Like everything hurts.
Why my arm? I can move my hands and my wrists hurt. I'm not doing anything.
Right.
I'm not lifting anything. And they're going, that doesn't make sense.
Yep.
It's not in my textbook. You want drugs, so I'm going to tell you no and go home.
Okay, so you ladies are the professionals, so I'm not. So
we just play one on the radio.
Yeah.
Right.
So I eat fruits and vegetables and graze like a cow for, a month or whatever, 30 days. I guess that's a month. Anyway.
Yes, Kim. 30 days.
Yeah.
30 days. Half past September.
And my ailments go away. I'm good.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, if we're talking about how food has impacted you,
right?
So that's you. Now I'm feeling good. Let's say that I'm feeling much better.
Sure.
And I go to the doctor because, well, that's what we're trained to do, and they're the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the doctor's like, "Yep, no, yeah, look at this guy who just popped in. Hey, Gary, how are you?"
Oh, we were just talking about him.
And yeah, so now the doctor goes, "Yeah, here's still more medicine."
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do? How do you help people get through that mental?
But what would the doctor be, telling you to take medicine for? Because I mean, if you're feeling great and you go in and
they tend
you're clear for every, they check your, check you for heart disease, they check you for diabetes, they check you for thyroid issues or whatever, and if everything comes back fine, why would they be pushing pills in the first place? It's
Yeah.
But if they did say, oh, well, maybe your cholesterol is a little elevated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's your cholesterol is elevated, certainly there's some conditions. Some people are genetically predisposed to, even if their diet is spot on, still can have elevated cholesterol. And there's not a lot of them out there, but there are some. But a friend of mine, she did go to the doctor for high cholesterol, and they said they wanted to put her on medication, and she's like, can I just fix it with diet? And the doctor's like, no way.
And that's what's so mind-blowing.
And you really can. You can,
The thing that's funny to me is how much... So when it comes to those medications, and when doctors do that, and the things that they're discovering as they get deeper and deeper into the research of it, and the more genetic testing they do, and the more they map the genome, and the more they do gut biology, and how much your gut and your food and your nutrition literally is the instructions for what your cells should be doing.
Right.
And as they discover these things, they're learning that what they thought were tolerances were appropriate are not. So like with potassium can kill you. It's the last thing they put in your arm for lethal injection. If you don't have enough potassium, it can literally start your heart. So too much or too little potassium is deadly in both directions.
Right.
But at the same time, there was a study I was reading recently where what they thought were your daily recommended potassium limits might be significantly higher, because as more and more people are on potassium-sparing heart medications because of high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes, because we live in an obese society and an unhealthy society, they're on these potassium-sparing pills, which means you have to, they're like, well, you can't eat bananas, you can't do this, and then you salt substitutes or potassium chloride, you're gonna overdose, and it's gonna be this big problem, you're gonna die. So as they're doing all of this research, they're finding out that that's not the case, that they can, that the higher levels of potassium, and the reason why they think that now is because if you go back in our human history and think of genetically where we came from, as having to search for your food, and the caloric intake that we had was a much higher potassium diet than what it is now, because we ate more fruits and vegetables, which are loaded with potassium. So when people talk to me and I say, you know, I used to have migraines, and between my acupuncturist keeping my spine aligned and my diet, I've managed to stave off my migraines. So the last migraine I've had in 20 years is when I got COVID last Thanksgiving. And so that doesn't necessarily count because it was a COVID migraine.
COVID related, yeah. It
was an underlying illness that caused that migraine. So I'd said that if I eat, bananas, and I hate bananas, despise bananas, can't stand bananas, don't like anything to do with bananas, and I eat 2 bananas every single day because it's the easiest way, especially green bananas because they're lower on the glycemic index, for me to get an energy boost for 3 or 4 hours without a crash. The fiber I need, the balanced glucose sucrose that I need, along with the potassium that I need to stave off muscle cramps. Because my sodium levels and because my body doesn't receive, my sodium receptors, my protein receptors aren't right in my body. That potassium. So everybody's like, well, what else? Anything, watermelon, avocados. There's a million things that are loaded with potassium.
Right.
I can't stop my workday for 3 minutes and peel a watermelon and eat it.
Yeah.
Or I can't, I guess you could, but
yeah.
I'd be like, avocado. Like, who peels an avocado and doesn't have avocado up to their elbows?
Right, yeah.
And yes, I know you can cut it in half, pull the seed out, and scoop it out like ice cream. I get that.
It's still messy. I'm sorry.
It's still messy, and I love avocado. I've got 2 of them in my pantry right now, and I'm making avocado. I can't, words and stuff. It's the words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm making avocado hummus when I get home.
Yum.
With like 19,000 pounds of garlic.
Yes.
But I think that, like you said, because the doctors, in the book, it says to do this.
Right.
And the last time I saw a neurologist, and I fired him because he came running down the hallway and said, well, because we think it's this, I'm going to put you on an aspirin a day. And what have you been seeing all over the news now? Turns out that maybe an aspirin a day doesn't do anything.
Not a good thing, yeah. Right.
And it might not even be a good thing.
Right.
Right. For decades, they've been telling people with heart conditions to stave off heart attacks, take an aspirin.
An aspirin a day, right.
And lo and behold, maybe you shouldn't be taking pharmaceuticals just for the sake of taking pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So
exactly.
It absolutely blows my mind.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I also suffered from migraines. So like in my early 20s, I was suffering from migraines daily, and they were debilitating. So they put me on a beta blocker in my early 20s. So I was on a beta blocker up until I got pregnant, and then the doctor even said, oh, well, you could still take it while you're pregnant. And I'm like, really? Have they done studies on that? I don't think so. So I stopped taking it. But, after I had my daughter, my migraines kind of just got better. They weren't like as constant. But then I'd get them every now and then since then. And I didn't go back on the medication because I'm like, well, if they're not that bad, you know what I mean? I'm not going to bother taking this beta blocker. And like you said, though, since I've started eating better, I haven't had a migraine, like you said, till I had got COVID last May.
Right. And now that's a neurological response due to cellular inflammation, which is usually what a migraine is. So, Peanut Gallery has a question?
I got a question. So we live in a microwave society, right? So I changed my diet. You ladies have changed your lifestyle. It's not even a diet. I don't even like the word diet.
Right. I can't stand the word diet.
Changed your lifestyle.
Yep.
And I don't feel better quickly.
Never.
How long does it take? What am I looking for? What you know
well,
what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing too. It depends. Yes, you're right. It depends on the person, but it also depends on the extreme that you go to. Do you know what I mean? And I love, when I talk to people about, switching more to a whole food plant-based lifestyle, people tend to think it's either all or nothing, right? And it's not. I am not going to come to you and say, look, Mary, you can never have a piece of meat again.
Right.
I'm never going to say that. And it's really not, like you said, it's not about what you don't eat, right? It's more about what you do put in your body.
What you need to add.
So when you do start eating more whole plant, real food, right, and whole grains and beans and things like that, you will start to notice within a couple weeks. You will. You will just, and it won't be drastic, right? But you're going to be like, wow, I sleep better. I had a really good night's sleep and I didn't have trouble falling asleep, or I didn't wake up a million times. You'll wake up refreshed. You'll have more energy, and you might, those aches and pains in your joints, you might not feel that anymore. And so the longer you stick to it, the better you're going to feel. And most people, almost 100% of the time, if you are overweight, you will start to drop pounds.
And that's the downfall with anything that says the word diet is
short term.
It is. And if you alter your nutritional intake in any way, shape, or form, good, bad, or indifferent, almost always you will tend to lose weight because it's a reaction by your body to figure out what's going on and find a balance and find a homeostasis.
Right.
So what I've always told people, my favorite is, because for me it took about 6 weeks, and I did cold hard, all or nothing, but I had a 50% chance of survival my first year. This wasn't I'm feeling kind of shitty and I want to make my life better.
It was a pretty good motivator, yeah.
It was, you're going to die.
Yeah.
How did it work out? Did you?
I don't know yet. Jury's out. So, but I did an all or nothing, and it took me about 6 weeks. But 6 weeks to start feeling better when I had 2 paracentesis and was holding on to both times 7 liters of water. That they literally tapped me like a keg and drained out because my body wasn't doing what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was 35 pounds underweight. To be that sick and have advanced decompensated cirrhosis of the liver, to turn around in a matter of 6 to 8 weeks and be on the path to what they call compensated cirrhosis, my doctors were floored. Absolutely floored. So it really does depend on the person. My favorite story is a friend of mine who early on in my journey that I helped on her path, and she calls me up and says, I pooped. I was like,
congratulations.
I mean, there's a book for that. Yeah. I don't have children, but I've heard about it. I think it's called Everybody Poops. Yeah. I can send it to you if you want. She says, no, she's like, I was waiting. You always talk about how you felt better and you don't know how bad you feel until you feel better. She's like, honest to God, my entire life, I've had gut issues. I have never just taken a shit and it was normal. It's either I can't, or I got 2 seconds to get to the bathroom and it's nothing but solid liquid. I've always had this norm. She's like, this is the first time in my life that I literally went to the bathroom, got out of the bathroom. It was a normal, short, sweet, I went in, did what I was supposed to do, came out, oh my God. That it was like, she's like, I never thought something so stupid is literally going to the bathroom would be that big of a deal. I
Sound effects, I love it.
But I was like, that's amazing. She goes, and then as that was her moment, that, and everybody has something, whether it's your headaches or you notice that your skin clears up.
Right.
I love ice cream. I'm addicted to Julianne's peanut butter puppy chow concrete. It's amazing. It's horrible, but it's amazing. At least they use real products. Yeah. So, but I will eat one, and because of the sugar content and the fat content, I will break out like a teenage girl within hours. Because my body is so sensitive now that it, instead of taking days for that to happen, it happens almost immediately. You don't realize that your skin is part of your filtration system, both in and out. Right. So you put garbage on it, it goes in your body. So when you consume garbage, it gets leached out of your skin.
So y'all both had good, strong reasons why to do this, right? The pain, the 50% chance of survival. So let's take a mom who works and maybe has some thyroid issues and has, some kids, and can they do it themselves? Is there support? How do you, know what I'm saying?
How do you make the change?
Because a lot of people go, I want to, I can't because, well, my kids, I got to buy this different stuff for my kids.
Oh, everybody says it's expensive, right? But guess what? A can of beans is less than $2, right? And that's
especially if you make your own.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to, and you want to be lazy and can't beans. It's still cheap.
Yeah. And then a brick of tofu is like $2.50. Like, so the costing, I have an argument for, right? And you can get frozen fruit
all day long.
Frozen vegetables just as healthy as fresh. But yeah, just to make it happen, to make it work, like it's really not as difficult as people think. You just need to learn the right foods that you should be eating. So like we had said, stay away from the white rice, the white pasta, because there's no fiber in that. And 97% of Americans don't get the recommended daily allowance of fiber,
not even close.
Which is really low, actually. Like
it's like 25.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of plant-based physicians that I follow recommend 30 to 40 grams of fiber a day. 40 if you want to lose weight. 40 grams of fiber a day, you will be losing weight, right? Because again, you'll be having nice, healthy poops.
Yep. You will, and it cleans. You want to detox.
Yeah, and it fills you up, right? So the fiber fills your stomach, so you don't feel hungry all the time. So it's not about portion control; it's about picking more nutrient dense rather than calorie dense foods.
And that's why I say when you focus on what you need to add to your diet, instead of what you eliminate, you'll automatically be eliminating some of those things. Yeah. Because if you eat, and we've discussed this before, like a serving of grapes is surprisingly filling.
Yes. Because it's full of fiber.
Right. So when you start adding the things that you're supposed to have, you really do find that there's not a whole lot of room for the things you're not supposed to have. The other junk, right. So to your answer, or to your question, my answer is that I apparently can't words today. So I didn't have breakfast. Shut up, leave me alone. So pammy. Everybody says that, and it is a certain amount of putting yourself above. It's the airplane situation. Put the mask on yourself before you put it on everybody else, because you're no good to everybody else if you don't take care of yourself.
Yep.
So, and I wish Marty was here, because Marty, if you're listening, I love you to death, and Master Happiness, and what's your bacon? So everybody, like you said, everybody has that. But usually you don't make the shift until it's catastrophic. You have liver disease, you have fibromyalgia, you have someone with cancer, you have someone that you've lost. Yeah. My bacon, or my why, is I don't want to be a burden. So when people come to me and say, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have whatever, and my question to you is, do you want to be a burden on your family? I'm not talking now, but have you ever had somebody in your life? My sister, God bless her, she was a hospice nurse for years. My mom, she cares for my mom right now, which is just, I love my mom, but to care for anybody 24/7 is a lot for someone to take on. I know with my life that I have debilitating diseases that are probably going to put me, so I've taken steps, long-term care, all of those things. but I'm talking from an aspect of putting your family through that. Look at the amount of people that you see around you that grandparents can't do what they want to do with their grandkids. Children are taking care of their parents because they have heart disease, diabetes, they have kidney disease, liver disease, all of these different things that are all preventable. So, which that's the one thing I wanted to say here is 80% of premature heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes are preventable through diet and regular exercise. And I should say regular activity.
Activity, yes. Thank you.
I
Physical
despise
activity.
Exercising. I hate it.
Just keep moving, right?
Just move.
Join one of my bungee fitness classes.
Right.
It's fun. It's it just gets you moving.
Right.
It's not the some structured.
I want to try that someday because I already feel like I'm in a bungee half the time. So.
Well, and back to this, the mom who how do I do this, right? Like, if you go to my website, I did publish a book and it's called Living on the Veg, and it's just a quick start guide to plant-based eating, and you can it's on the front page all the way down at the bottom. Home all the way down at the bottom. You can click the link.
Yeah, you can go to her website, and we have it listed in the comments, and I'll have it listed on my page. You can get to her.
There's my book. You can click the Amazon link.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's nothing crazy, but it's just a basic, quick start. Kind of explains a little bit how to add more of the fruits and vegetables, whole grains and stuff, and it's got a bunch of recipes in the back.
And that's the
And
thing
I brought out a copy for both of you.
I'm so excited.
You
I like swag.
You guys each get a copy of my book.
But that's the thing is when you start adding stuff like
I'll
this.
sign it, yes.
When you start adding more fruits and vegetables, and that's why I say it's not, because I've had that question, especially after I did the meat versus veg episode. And people a lot of vegetarians and vegan, I'm like, you need to slowly roll. I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat more fruits and vegetables.
Right.
By all means, you absolutely should. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody should eliminate it, but I don't think I'd like the carnivore diet.
Right.
I don't. That is terrifying to me.
Well, that's scary because there's no phytonutrients.
No,
there's no fiber.
No.
So Alice, my wife and I, we're doing through our insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I get an email just out of the blue like 3 weeks ago, and it's for this program called Wonder.
Okay.
WONDR. It's very much like Zoom or Noom.
Noom. Okay. Yeah.
So it's a lot of psychological stuff.
Right.
And so I don't know why it came, and it's free to us. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we're doing it together. And the first thing that they do is they start to educate you, not necessarily on nutrition, but why you eat.
Right. There's a lot of it's psychological behavior change. Yeah.
And then at the end of the first week, they challenge you to give up sugar for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And so now we're looking much like, you have so many dollars with sodium.
Yep.
So now we're looking at now we're 2 weeks into absolutely no sugar.
Okay.
So, and it was interesting when I had COVID last week and laying around, my body wanted energy. I all I wanted to do was go down and get ice cream or chocolate or something because my body was saying, hey, I need energy.
Yeah.
Because it was, I was sick.
Run down, yeah.
And because I wasn't doing sugar, I was like, I can't. I'm talking to my body like, I can't do it.
Can't do it, yeah.
Listen, which is awesome.
Because I'm doing this. And I don't want to have to start all over.
Right.
But yesterday, Alice said that, on the way home from basketball practice or whatever, stopped and grabbed, fast food for Lucy, our 13-year-old, and she took she just started sipping up the straw of just a Sprite.
It's so sweet.
And she goes, it hit my tongue.
Right.
Got an instant headache.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Now, I will say this with all the love in my heart. My wife is a junk food junkie.
Okay.
All right. I mean, you would think Little Debbie is part of our family.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, and it was like, and throughout life, and our kids like, okay, get ready for bed, have a snack. Snack is a roll of double stuffed Oreos. And a glass of milk or something, right? So I mean, she straight up told the kids, she's like, listen, your dad and I are doing this. We're changing things. I'm going sugar less, but you get it from fruits, vegetables.
Right, absolutely.
And she goes, so I want y'all to know I'm gonna be a bitch.
I love it.
For a little while.
For a little
while, because your body just kind of gets used to it.
Before we run out of time, I want to make sure everybody knows how can they find you.
They can find me. My website is epimonyllc.com. And it's up there on the screen if you're on. I'm
Yes,
assuming
we
we're on.
will, yeah.
That's Facebook. But I'm also on Facebook. It's you can search at Epimony LLC, and you can find me on Facebook as well. And my phone numbers, my business phone number is 847-282-0207. Email is epimony.llc@gmail.com.
And I'll say this, I know we have a lot of listeners, and if we go over a few minutes, it's fine,
Right.
because we lost some volume in there.
Mhm.
But it's easier working with somebody like Dawn, and having a friend, like Mary, that can hold you accountable and help
Right.
you
Yes.
answer questions, because you're going to have them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, wait, what? Wait, why?
Why this? Why that? Yeah, absolutely.
That's just my 2 cents.
I
agree.
That's the best compliment that I always get is that when people tell me that I'm not pushy, and I don't try and push my low sodium diet on them, because in all honesty, you need salt.
Right.
You do.
Your
It's part of
body
your diet.
needs
You
it.
don't need 9,000 milligrams of salt.
Right. Yeah.
You need salt. And my whole thing is when you tell me that, like Pete, God rest him, used to always say, you know what, you made me look at the back of a can.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to cry. I was like, that's all I care, because
Right?
this is the man who identified as, macaroni and cheese was a vegetable because it was orange.
Right.
But the amount of people that tell me
Right.
that, like, you made me look at a label.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I won.
I
That's
love
all-
it.
I just
I
want
love
you to make
hearing
a better
stories
decision.
like that. Yep.
I just want you to make a better decision.
Absolutely.
So whether it's you eat lots more fruits and vegetables and less meat, or you eat meat and vegetables, but all of it, if it's real food, it's still a win.
Yes.
It's that's if it's not processed garbage and you're actually
Right.
making an effort to pay attention, you're going to see a difference.
Right.
You're going to see a difference.
If it comes from a plant, eat it. If an actual plant,
Right.
right? But if it's made in a plant, you probably
Right.
shouldn't eat it, right?
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Comes in a plant but not made in a plant. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So yes, like us, follow us on YouTube. The more subscribers we have, the more luxuries we have. Follow us on mylosolifestyle.com and 216thenet.com. You can also download the app, listen to the radio anytime you want. Check out our other stations. And I believe In the Know with Steph and Joe has a new episode at 3 o'clock today. So come back and listen to them, and we will see you guys next week.
That's it.
Bye-bye.